Alright folks, welcome back to the FCDB Cup 2017 and welcome back to Epsilon up against Passions here for the second map of the series. We just saw Passions have a fairly easy first map go their way, and considering the first map was picked by Epsilon, heading into overpass here, I'm expecting to see a very similar performance. I don't think we really saw enough out of Epsilon to suggest that they could come out on top in this game, especially as Passions were looking fairly on point in their individual play in that first map. Specifically, of course, it was Hampers having a very good performance, but the rest of the team also certainly had their rounds. And also the fact that Plopsky could even pop up with a few very impactful plays really just pushed them over the edge, considering he is supposedly the stand-in that you would think might have some issues. But he found things fairly easy holding on to that A site on the CT side. And then after winning that second half pistol, they took it over the edge fairly convincingly. Either way, on the Epsilon side of things, they did have some rounds where they looked fairly competitive. I think the main issue for them was going down 5-0 early on was a fairly big issue for them. On their CT side especially, they couldn't really get the AWPs together all that often. And I think that's something that Epsilon are going to have to rely on. I think they really do need someone like Jay-Z Walkings with the AWP to step up and perform incredibly well. And that just didn't really come through when he didn't have too many opportunities with the AWP in that first map. Of course, just looking at some of the recent performances on this map from both teams, Epsilon in the group stages played this one twice, losing against WASD 16-11 and Seed 16-8. And to be fair, that game against WASD, I remember watching that, and Epsilon did take WASD fairly close. And remember, WASD managed to win the group there. So that was maybe a sign that Epsilon can certainly compete on this map. In the meantime, Passions haven't really played Overpass too often. I was a bit surprised to see them themselves pick this map. They have played a few times on this one recently, though, beating Seal, beating FSNUS, a couple of wins in there, but not really playing it too often. So let's see if Passions still can have such a dominating performance on this second map. They get to start CT side, and Epsilon have gone for Barbar again with the nades. On the Passion side of things, they do have the defuse kit, but they also have the aggression on towards B short to give them a lot of map control early on. And Hampus is even going to just sit here in this off angle. If Epsilon push towards him, you would think he'll be able to get some kills, but instead they're going to make their way in towards the B site. And Rusty will certainly hear the steps, but he's not really doing too much to stop them from being on towards the site itself. Push comes out, and Kevzy just about reacts to the peek from Rusty. In fact, Kevzy gets himself a double kill there on towards B short. And so the Passions players, despite pushing on towards B short, don't really get too much for it as Kevzy shuts them both down. And it's looking good for Epsilon to take this first pistol here. Even with the defuse kit, a 2-on-5 still incredibly difficult. And here comes Jay-Z Walkings lining them up, although he only gets the one kill before Plopsky will run the hell away. One kill for Plopsky. He might just save the Kevlar, but shouldn't really lead to too much into this upcoming round, of course. I mean, they will go for the Force Buy, so I guess it is nice to save that Kevlar. You could try and buy something like a Scout if you wanted to, but yet again, we are going to see Passions not invest into Kevlar on this sort of a round. Just trying to make sure they have as strong of a buy as possible into that first gun round. That's something we saw from Epsilon. It didn't work out for their side of things, but let's see if Passion can get it to work when they head into a gun round. I believe Barbar with the MAC-10 has already pushed out towards B short. Indeed, he has. And to be fair to Passions, that previous round there, it kind of just went completely wrong for them in terms of stacking towards B short and then not having the presence towards the site. I think that's pretty much worst case scenario. Just 4 players walking up monster, you can't really expect that. So Passions, I don't think, will be too disappointed. Even though they lost the round, Epsilon pretty much countered them perfectly. And so they were never really going to have too good of a chance there. Whereas if the push came in towards B short, if it was even just 1 or 2 players that made their way forwards, you would think Passions would have been able to get themselves a kill or 2 before the push came towards the site. Either way, in this one, Passions playing very passively towards B. So they let Epsilon have the site with only 1 kill to show for it. Zinken does get caught off guard, but Rusty will be traded on. And so the AKs will eventually close things out. And fairly nice for Epsilon as well that they keep 3 players alive, so they do get to save those 3 AKs. Of course, the bigger investment that they had into that round was into those AKs rather than the SMGs. And heading into the 3rd round here, this is going to be a fairly boring round. At least I would expect it to be. Passions on just USPs, the 1 nade purchased for Hampus. And we could be seeing the MAC-10 mop them up. It's worth pointing out Barber only has a USP, but he has some support with the AK behind him. And that nade wasn't exactly the best investment. $300 spent on just 2 damage. Could certainly understand why they went for it, though. And as they find the kill on towards Barber, Passions will realise they've been bamboozled a little bit. I'm sure they were hoping to find themselves some sort of gun there, but Barber only had a USP, so they won't get rewarded for that aggression out towards A. And Epsilon should be in fairly good shape here to save these 3 AKs, and I wouldn't be surprised to see Zinken just try and see if he can get some kills. And already that is indeed the case. He's making his way up connector. In the meantime, Passions are trying to set themselves up for some exit kills. And they might be able to find some. I'm surprised to see Kevzy here push in towards Bank by himself. Epsilon should just be really exiting the site together. And so Kevzy could be in danger here. He gets himself a headshot, though, from Bank peeking in towards the site. Doesn't want to go around this corner, though. The Molotov comes in. That's going to be another kill for Kevzy. Popsky on towards the truck, just stands in the flames and ends up going down. However, of course, not really too big of a deal there. Passions only had the USPs, and so they will now be much more focused on this upcoming gun round. Plopsky has himself the AWP, which is a little bit surprising. It seems like Passions have been willing to switch that up fairly often. In the meantime, Epsilon are keeping the 1 MAC-10 alongside the 4 rifles. And Plopsky did go for the aggression in towards mid, but as the smoke comes up, he just decides to play things safe. Certainly understandable. They didn't have any control over towards A long. They didn't have any information there. So you can't really stick around for that peak too long. You're mainly just looking to see if you can get that opening kill for your team. And when Epsilon don't fight you, definitely worth just falling back to the site. So good to see that Plopsky is aware of that. And Epsilon here going to take this first gun round fairly slowly. They do have 4 players all stacked around Monster here. The peek comes in. Zadish nearly gets taken down there. Down to just 24 points of health. Surprised that Epsilon could dish out so much damage on towards him. But certainly not a bad start for Epsilon. The question is now, with 44 seconds left, do they still want to commit to this B push? And they might want to think about going back towards A now that Barbar gets that pick, but they decide they're still just going to commit to their initial plan. Here comes the push, and Rusty should have been able to hear those steps, but he was so scared of the B short position being open that he has his back turned. And so Epsilon are already going to get themselves the first gun round alongside the 3 rounds from winning the prior pistol. And if Epsilon wanted to show that they could compete on this map, they have certainly caught Passion's attention here by gaining this 4-0 lead early on. Again, in that round, Passions had 3 players towards A, so they are kind of getting a bit unfortunate in terms of their rotations, in terms of stacking players towards the sites. But at the same time, you kind of saw there that Epsilon were lined up around B for fairly long, and I was expecting the Passions might have been able to predict it was going to be a B play. But that was not the case. And again, I was kind of thinking that because Passions, they did have some presence in towards bathrooms, but I guess as soon as that kill comes in from Barbar, who was on the lurk, they have to be a little bit worried that the A push is certainly a possibility. Ooh, Kevsy there does a bit of damage and nearly gets himself the kill over towards Monster. Plopsky taken down to 25 HP. Of course, there was the saved AWP and AK into this round for Passions, so he certainly cannot count them out. Especially with Hampus having that AK-47. He made very good plays in the previous map, but this time he's not going to be able to do so, at least in this round, as he goes down first. Very well placed flashbang from Epsilon there. They seemed quite aware that there could be a player pushed up in towards Party. And so good to see as well, as I was saying, Epsilon, they use their utility just to make sure they can't get caught off guard. You can see the smoke coming in towards Connector. Epsilon just making sure they can stay at these long-range fights. So a fairly well-played anti-eco so far. The one thing I'm a little bit worried about is, again, Barbar off by himself. He is certainly risking losing that rifle, especially being on just 15 HP. However, it seems like Barbar's going to play the lurk role for a lot of this half. And so far, he's having a fair amount of success with it over towards A. As he makes his way forward, though, Plopsky, this time, comes out on top. Rusty certainly hears these players moving towards B. So the rotation will come down with 3 players still alive for Passions, but they are stuck behind the smokes. I thought for a second that Rusty would go for some aggression there, but such a huge risk to push through the smoke, and he decides it is not worthwhile. Plopsky's going to save the AWP, but Zadish and Rusty don't have too much to save, although, as I say that, I forgot that Barbar did lose his gun over towards A long. Rusty did go down over towards sandbags, but that's not really what Passions are focused on. They are looking to just save these rifles. And considering the money on some of the Passions players, sure, they're going to get a big losing bonus, but saving these rifles will actually go a fairly long way in making sure they do get as strong of a buy as possible into this next round, making sure they do get the full nades, making sure they do get to have the AWP, likely with Kevlar, as well as some nades for himself to try and make a play. So that's a really nice save for Passions, but at the same time, they are still 5-0 down. We have to put the sort of positive for Passions into context. And even though it's a positive for themselves heading into this round, they are still 5-0 down, of course. Plopsky with the AWP is thinking of going in towards Connector here. There are a couple of Epsilon players thinking of going aggressive through the smoke. See, Plopsky decides he doesn't want to stick around, so it looks like the AWP of Plopsky is going to be playing fairly safe towards bathrooms. We've seen him go for some aggression towards the start of rounds, but not really going to stick around with it for too long. In terms of Epsilon, again we see Barbar off by himself. He has been having a lot of success on these solo missions, if you like. So I'm not surprised to see him attempt to make sure there is presence sort of all across the map and make sure he keeps the players on the B site. So with Epsilon having connector control, they can rotate quickly, but look at Brolan opening up on JZ Walkings, who was not expecting the peak to come through. That's the bomb dropped, and that is the opening kill for Passions. With 30 seconds left here, Epsilon will elect to rotate back down towards B. And again, Passions don't have as much presence towards this bomb site. Only 2 players here, but Rusty is more than up for the task. He finds himself the first kill on the hold. The desperation push coming in, but Hampus finds the trade, making a second kill for him. Even a third there for Hampus, all the way back towards heaven. I didn't realise he got all those kills from such long range, but fair play to Hampus opening up. And yet again, it is Hampus who steps up with a multi-kill to give Passions their first round. To be fair, I think the round was likely already won before that, but Hampus just makes sure it is 100% a round win for the CT Swedish side. So Plopsky with the AWP again, focused in towards mid. This time he's going to stick around for a little bit more aggression than we've been seeing so far. And this is a fairly tough angle to hold. If he gets double peeked here, there's no way he can fall back to safety. Plopsky going to rely on this first shot. He does get blinded, but still manages to get that opening fight. In the meantime, though, JZ Walkings with the AWP of his own also finds a frag to make sure that Epsilon have the best of things to start off this round. Passion's going to respond with a push towards B short, and it should work out for them as Zadish gets himself a free kill. And they just decide to fall back after bringing it down to a 3 versus 3. Kasicink pushing aggressively, spots them boosting. And again, very nicely done to realize he doesn't need to stick around to take that second fight there. He gives his team the man advantage and just plays things safe. That's going to allow JZ Walkings to instead find the entry towards B. Solid play from Epsilon there, not overextending, making sure that they manage to get the advantage back for themselves. And so Hampus, well, he got a 3k towards B in the previous round, but this time he's in a much more difficult position, all by himself versus 3 opponents. And he decides it's not worth going for the retake. You can certainly understand why, because Hampus is going to look to save this AWP. He's even going to get himself an incendiary for an extra $600 worth of utility in his back pocket. And I was just pointing out, looking at the money for Passions, if they do save this AWP, they should have, at the very least, 4 primary weapons heading into this round. Seems like Epsilon knows the nades on this map a lot better. Yeah, I think that's fair to say. Again, that's why I really found it kind of weird that Epsilon chose Mirage as their map pick first. Because we haven't really seen them play it all that often. And we have seen Epsilon look fairly good on this map in the past. As I was saying, they've played it twice in the group stages. They didn't get the wins or anything, but they were playing the map close. And against WASD, who topped their group and only had 1 loss, it was a fairly good showing from Epsilon. And we're already seeing that transfer over here to overpass. As I was expecting, the 4 weapons are purchased for Passions. Rusty does have a CZ. However, he certainly could do some damage here up close, especially as Zadish is over towards barrels, making sure that if Rusty does have any danger, then he can be assisted. Barbar again will be on the lurk towards B. You can see the rest of his team, including the man taking the bomb, will go back towards A. And so let's see what Barbar can do towards the B site here, because there are 3 players stacked there for Passions so far. So I don't expect Barbar to realistically be able to make them stick around for all that much longer. Flash goes over, as well as a smoke from Barbar. Out comes the Molotov as well as the final flashbang, and so Barbar now will just decide to fall back. His job is done. Now the question is, can Brolan cut off the push to the site? It's actually Plopsky to get 2 kills, looking for the 3rd, but Kevzi shuts him down, and there goes the AK, opening up the A site with 2 hugely important kills, because now Epsilon are certainly going to feel like they should be able to close out this round. Zadish and Rusty rotating back up from B. JZ Walking's out in the open there. He should not be taking that one-on-one fight, but he kind of got stuck in towards truck and couldn't really fall back. Kevzi and Barbar still in great positions to watch towards the bomb, and the flashbang goes horribly wrong there for Rusty. He goes down. Still though, a one-on-one, and Kevzi is going to have a molly cut him off here. He has to rotate back around. Zadish still sticking the defuse. Oh, he gets off it at the last second here, and now he's forced to push. Kevzi doesn't get the kill, but he manages to delay things long enough. Zadish gets the 3k, but not the round for Passions. as Epsilon edge another one into their favour. And now with a 7-1 lead, this is starting to get a little bit out of control from Passion's perspective, because they're going to go for another force buy. And if they lose here, they are absolutely running the risk of this first half getting way, way, way too far away from them. Not the best flash from Hampus, but he's going to open up with some shots. However, not any kills there. I was expecting to see him find a frag. However, JZ Walkings shuts things down with the AWP in towards Connector. Boost coming in, but Zadish will be forced off of that position. You see Passions now thinking about the reboost, seeing if they can get that frag back. And oh, JZ Walkings has to be frustrated with that one. He's not going to spot out Zadish. He's just going to lose his life. And Plopsky coming down Connector with a CZ of all weapons finds himself a headshot. And not only does he get that kill, but he also gets himself an AWP as a reward. So Passions now, all of a sudden, have themselves 3 rifles, have themselves the man advantage, but not for too much longer. That's the issue of going in towards Connector. Plopsky doesn't really have a clear path of escape. And so as he tries to get to safety, he ends up being taken down by Barbar. And this time Barbar is with the rest of his team as they make their way towards bathrooms. Brolan holding up close, but they spot him out. Brolan in all kinds of trouble. Again, there's nowhere for him to run either, and with no support from his teammates, nothing to be done towards the A site. The bomb will go down, although Barbar is low on health, as well as Eric being down to 50 HP. Passions also have a defuse kit for themselves, so if they can find a quick kill here, there's every chance for this retake, especially as Barbar, on just 12 HP, decides to play aggressively. Here comes Eric, flashed in for the peak, but Zadish flicks back around to leave Kevsey again to try and clutch for his team. He's going to play as safe as possible because the molly's towards the bomb. You can see them hunting him down, but Kevsey gets another headshot looking to close. But Zadish finds the kill. There's no time, is there? No, there's no time for Zadish. I thought he may have had it if he committed to it straight away. However, even with the defuse kit, he is forced to save. And so yet again, Passions find themselves all 5 kills, but still not the round. Again as well, it's Kevsey who plays the time really well in the clutch. Yeah, someone in Twitch chat saying he had it. I think he might have had it if he committed to the defuse straight away, but you saw him kind of go back and forth. That was really weird. Either way, Passions now will have to rely on Zadish with the AWP to do anything in this round. Unless those pistols can manage to step up, but I'm certainly not expecting that. Hampus is pushed up at a long. This is a little bit of an off angle, but I would still expect Epsilon to clear it if they did push out. Instead, it's JZ Walkings here, holding top con with a P250 in hand. Here comes Hampus, though, pushing out, and he's going to find Kevsey in the back of the head. Zadish also in towards Connector, misses that critical shot. He needed to find that trade kill there, because now the A site is looking weak. Brolang was only there with a USP, and so as he falls, the chance for Epsilon, or sorry, the chance for Passions in the round also certainly goes much, much lower. Rusty does have an AK alongside Zadish with the AWP alongside a kit. And we've seen them find the frags on the A retake previously. But the time certainly becomes a factor, as we have seen in the last few rounds. Zadish still looking for an entry kill with the AWP. Spots out the first man, however, I think the time has ticked down too far. You can already see Rusty attempting to fall back. However, Passions are not allowed to save anything out of the round. They are still going to have the bye. However, Epsilon already with a 9-1 scoreline here. This is just a completely different map. It's really strange to see Passion struggle so much after they looked so good back on Mirage. And I certainly wasn't expecting that coming into Overpass here, but Epsilon have certainly proved the doubters wrong with their performance so far, on this second map at least. Zinken finds that first kill. The flash in for Rusty wasn't all that successful. In the meantime, Passions are going for some aggression towards the A side of the map. And Epsilon themselves are thinking of rotating back around towards A. However, Passions are not sticking with the aggression. After not really spotting anything out towards Fountain, they just decide to fall back to the site, which is a little bit strange from Passions there. However, it means we're just going to play with Epsilon having the man advantage and Epsilon having a fair amount of the map to work with on their T side. "50 seconds left, and Epsilon, as they have been fairly considerably so far, will be slowing down the clock in another round." Here comes Hampers though. JZ Walking's out in the open. Had no real support from his teammates, and here comes Plopsky pushing through bathrooms. All of a sudden, the push from Epsilon is not looking so good, especially with Plopsky being a nuisance in towards bathrooms here. He's going to cut off the rotate. However, he won't be successful in doing so. Kebsy finds himself the headshot. However, Zadish there certainly spotted out some players. There's two men committed to the B site. Zadish opens up with the first kill, and that allows Brolan to find one of his own. Very well done at the end there from Passions, as Brolan and Zadish make sure they are just playing with each other on the B hold. They find all 3 kills between them, and they finally find a second round on their CT side after losing 4 in a row. Now, of course, they need to make sure they win this subsequent round here. And actually, something to point out right now is the fact that Epsilon, considering they've won so many rounds, really have not that much money built up. They could be at risk of being forced back to an eco if they lose this round, and then Passions could certainly salvage a decent enough CT half. Zinken, though, gets that first headshot. Passions, they really need this round win here, and that's not the best of starts for them. After Zadish had some success towards B in the previous round, this time he goes aggressive towards B short. There we go, Hampers just pushing out through Fountain. I might have even been through Playground, but nonetheless, the important thing is that he goes down. Flash comes in for Rusty, and yet again, a similar flashbang where the terrorists were holding so far back that they didn't really get blinded. There are still 2 players on the B site, and Plopsky gonna spray a couple down. Brolan got himself a kill as well, so we're back to a 1 versus 2 with the bomb being out in the open. But Plopsky cannot convert on towards that kill, and so he still needs to find 2 more. Nade comes in, Plopsky spots the first man out, and he nearly finds the spray transfer. However, Zinken just about manages to close things out for Epsilon. Again, a fair few of these rounds have been very, very close indeed. However, Epsilon are finding the better of the rounds in the clutches. We've certainly seen Passions take so many rounds really close, though. I mean, Kevsy has had to clutch a couple of times, and he didn't even get the kills in the clutch. He just delayed things long enough. Even that round there, it goes to a 1-on-1 at the end. However, still, Passions have been having much more success in converting those rounds in those all-important final moments. And Passions here have gone for the force buy. At this point, it's probably worth just taking this risk. They do have the 1 rifle for Brolan. They do have the CZs that can be at least decent enough. Here comes Brolan, though, seeing if he can find a kill or 2. He's not going to find a frag, but he's going to find some damage on towards Kevsy, who gets dinked down to 15 points of health. In the meantime, Plopsky is making sure that no push will come out. Oh, what the hell is going on? Plopsky runs round the corner, and JZ Walkings was already there. That was such an awkward fight, but JZ Walkings does come out on top. Rolando is behind them. He gets himself a free kill. The bomb is making its way back towards B, but that's a second rifle for Passions to play with. Brolan, though, where is Brolan's gun? There we go, he picks it up. Barbar is on the A site. The rest of his team are back towards B. But Barbar is trying to sell this fake. I don't think it's going to be all that successful, though. They should still be aware it's likely to be a B site push, but Passions will still play for the retake. You can see Hampus was the man pushed up B short. He, I think, could hear the players pushing out through Monster. And so now he's going to try and see if he can find a sneaky flank. Eric holding off, spots the players from Heaven. Only the one kill before the trade comes in. And so Passions keep their man advantage on the even trade. But look at Zinken's position. He's going to find a fight. But Brolan in towards Heaven clears the right-hand side. And so now Kevzi, after getting dinked at the start of the round, will fall up close to the CZ. And Passions, I think, have the defuse. Wow, that was way closer than I was expecting, but Brolan does just about have the time for the full 10-second defuse. And as I was saying, Epsilon's economy has consistently been on the edge of being broken. Passions, they finally manage to win a round that does force Epsilon down to a weaker buy. However, at this point, we're already into the late stages of the first half, and we already have Epsilon with a great 10 rounds on their T side. It's just a little bit too late that Passions have been able to win these rounds. Epsilon have decided to go for the force buy here. And they've got a few players in towards Connector to start things off. A fair amount of utility as well, for what it's worth. Brolan boosted up with the AK. Will spot out the players coming out top con. But he is forced to fall back with a flashbang to help Plopsky also get to safety. That's going to allow Barbar to take this close-range fight. In fact, it's Eric to get that opening kill. All of a sudden, A looks very vulnerable as a second entry comes in for Epsilon. And Hampus has to lock down the site. They're going to push towards him. And actually, Hampus does have a second player rotated up here. All three players now from Passions make their way up to the A site. So you see Epsilon now having second thoughts. But Hampus continues to find frags. A second on the round. Still, though, Rusty is on the B site all alone. So as the push comes forwards, let's see if Rusty can even get one kill. Smoke comes in towards this position. Rusty out in the open, gets sprayed down. And so Epsilon still certainly looking like they should be able to close this one out. Although Hampus is still alive with the AK. Not for too much longer, though. They don't clear the corner. Kevzi doesn't actually get that second kill there. Was certainly expecting him to be able to shut them both down. But Zadish now certainly has a chance. As soon as I say that, though, Zinken is in a good enough position to peek out wide for the trade. And so just as it looks like Passions are going to salvage a few more rounds at the end of the half, Epsilon snatched that chance away from them with the force buy win. And now heading into the last round of the half, it is only pistols for the entirety of the Passions lineup. Plopsky coming out top connector, nearly gets the chance for a kill. However, the CZ doesn't always fare all that well at long-range fights. I guess that wasn't a long-range fight, more of a medium one. However, still the CZ, of course, struggles. Plopsky here at top connector should get a kill. JZ Walking's caught off guard. And so there are two AKs that Passions could pick up. Plopsky has already got away with one of them, but Brolan decides it's not worth risking pushing out to see if he can get a rifle himself. At the same time, though, the damage is certainly already done. Epsilon are going to have to play from a 3v5, and so even if it's only one AK picked up, it's certainly still a good advantage. And look at Brolan in a great position to open up The CZs just get the job done here. Passions don't lose a single player. And a fairly surprising last round to the half means that Passions do get a 4th round together. They are certainly still fairly far behind. However, they do manage to salvage a few rounds at the end there to make sure they are somewhat in with a chance. But it is still, of course, very, very reliant on this upcoming pistol round. So here we go, heading underway into the second half. Heading underway into a pistol round that Passions almost require to keep themselves in with a shot. And they're going to go quickly towards B. The smoke comes in. JZ Walkings already finds the first kill, but Hampus getting himself that headshot there. A very tight angle on towards JZ Walkings. However, he still converts for the kill. And Hampus here is going to get boosted up. In the meantime, it's Rusty to find himself a kill. And Hampus was boosted all the way into heaven. It's really cool to see from Passions there. Doesn't really necessarily win them the round, but it's cool to see they have that in their locker. As Passions do win the pistol round, and we could certainly still be seeing a competitive map if Epsilon start to lose a few more rounds. Still a fairly long way for Passions to go, but the pistol round was certainly, of course, the first step in the right direction. As always, this is the standard buy for Epsilon. Upgrading the pistols, but not going for the Kevlar. And so they keep about $1,000 each in the bank. JZ Walkings there, having the opportunity to try and get the opening, as does Zinken. But those Deagles will not be able to find themselves an opening kill just yet. Epsilon themselves are just spreading out, making sure there's not really any chance for aggression from Epsilon to catch them off guard. Certainly think that's a fairly good idea for Passions. And then when they do want to hit a site, of course, they have the MAC-10 and the UMP, the SMGs with a very high mobility to go in first. And even if they go down, they will certainly be able to get a lot of information for the rest of the team to try and work with. "35 seconds left here for Passions to make their move, and make their move they will on towards the B site. Molotov comes over the top, and there we go. The first 2 entry kills come in. Epsilon not really resisting too heavily on the B site. They just kind of let it happen. They try to make sure that a couple of kills can come through for them, but they only find the single solitary frag. And so Epsilon here, well, you can see Eric will go for a CZ. I guess that's another advantage of not buying Kevlar in the previous round. You can always buy up pistols into this subsequent one if you want to. However, Epsilon will only upgrade 2 players' pistols into this one. Looks like Passion's going quickly towards the B site, and unfortunately for Epsilon, they are all 5 players on towards the A side of the map. They will go pushing out, and Hampus is the one man holding the flank with the AK. So it is good to see him get as far away from the opponents as possible. I still don't really like Hampus holding this angle. He does run the risk of being taken down if he is caught off guard. He does just decide to peek out, and does with the kill. However, there we go, managing to clean things up. Only Eric left on 21 HP, and so Passions, as expected, will be able to take this round very, very convincingly. Eric nearly running the risk of dying to full damage there, but he only takes 10 damage, not too scary for him. And so here we go. Epsilon are back to the buy. They are back to the AWP, and they are back to also a fairly good buy in terms of their utility, as we were saying, thanks to the previous rounds where they did not go for the Kevlar buys with those pistols. Let's see what JZ Walkings has in mind with this AWP. Not particularly going for any aggression. However, he's still going to hold in towards mid. I think Kevzi was jump peeking towards short B earlier in the round to get information. So Epsilon should be aware that there are a few players on towards B short. And Passions themselves seem to be ready to line it up a push towards this B site. Ooh, look at this boost though. This could be fairly worrisome for Epsilon. If they were continuing to go for that boost as the push came in, they would have been exposed from so many positions. Instead, we will just see the push come out a little bit later, but still Passions get that first kill. Eric in towards barrels, finds himself 3 frags. All of a sudden, Epsilon have a chance in the round, but there goes Hampus, making sure that Eric cannot get anything more done. And so it's just JZ Walkings with the AWP. He is on the big flank, but with an AWP here, it's so difficult to win a 1-on-2, although he might get gifted a free kill. Plopsky out in the open, doesn't realise JZ Walkings is going to push towards him. And now JZ Walkings will switch things up to the rifle for the 1v1. Smoke comes towards the bomb. The bomb is not planted for Hampus, so he's forced to go out into the open. Fake defuse comes in. Hampus goes for the peek, but it's going to cost him. Great clutch from JZ Walkings. At the same time, you have to feel as though Plopsky didn't necessarily need to go pushing B short there so far out. I can certainly understand why he was playing from B short when the bomb was planted for him, but I feel like he doesn't need to push all the way through there. I feel like he can just hold sort of, if you like, this angle here, where you can get the information and then you can still fall back to the site if necessary, because you know you're only against one player. So you really just want to make sure you get that information and then can switch things up and play with your teammates. So I don't really like him committing to the B short push. And that might end up costing Passions, because now Epsilon will be able to get themselves another buy into this subsequent round. Hey, thanks IC for the win. I appreciate it. So Passions again taking a slow start to the round. They do still have the AKs, of course. And again, their nades are looking fairly good. On the Epsilon side of things, we are going to see Kevzi yet again go for this information. I don't think he spotted a player out, though. And that means that Epsilon decide to rotate a player back up towards the A side of the map. So as the push comes forwards, with only 2 players towards B, let's see if the CTs can hold this off. Kevzi finding a gap in the smoke. How does he get 2 kills there? Finally, he's shut down, but the UMP has certainly done some damage on the B hold. Nonetheless, he cannot deny the bomb from going down. However, you can already see Epsilon choking in from all positions, choking Passions and forcing them to stick to the site, if you like. Zadish peeking out for the quick headshot. So we do go back to a 3-on-3, but I don't know if you expect a second player. Barbar does just about win that all-important fight. Plopsky could be in trouble, but through the flash, he gets the kill, and he doubles up, taking down Eric and making sure that Barbar cannot attempt the clutch. Really important second kill there from Plopsky to shut down any chance of the retake being successful. So taking a quick look at the money, Epsilon, even with the saved rifle, will have nowhere near enough for at least an optimal buy. At this point, though, for Epsilon, it's probably worth them going for the force buy into this round. Their money is so weak on those 3 players there, specifically Eric Zinken and JZ Walkings, that I think 1 eco won't be enough to get them a buy. It looks like Epsilon disagree with me, though. They are going to not fully force up into this round. However, I think if they lose this, they will still likely be forced down to double eco. And then Passions will be right back in this game. So, of course, the key player for the CT side in this round will be Barbar. And he is currently towards the B site with that 1 rifle. Eric himself is pushed up on towards B short. So you'd expect Epsilon to not commit so many players towards B, and you can see just with that little bit of information, they are going to rotate back up around towards A. And that could bode well for their chances into this round, because you can see the push coming in. Hamper still gets that opening kill. Despite a headshot landing from the pistol, the AK replies with a headshot that finds the kill outright. So here comes the push to the site. Rusty finds the angle for a very nice headshot. Kevzy over towards A long, has pushed up, has got himself an AK, but he also has no teammates left alive. So pretty much no chance at winning the round. However, saving the AK would be somewhat of a bonus, of course, heading into the next one. Again, taking a quick look at the cash left in the bank. Epsilon probably not going to buy into the next round, but that's not going to stop Kevzy from fragging as he finds a second headshot. Oh, Kevzy, you need to get your gun out here. There's a player around the corner. He should be aware and does hear the steps here. So 3 kills for Kevzy, and it looks like the gun will be saved. Passions themselves, they do have a fair amount of money built up, but they will be forced to rebuy a couple of weapons. Either way, Epsilon, as expected, will be back to another eco. They do get to save another rifle, of course, as was the case in the previous round. And similarly to that last round, Kevzy will also go towards B with this rifle, alongside a fair few of his teammates committing to the B site at the initial portion of this 22nd round. Wouldn't be surprised to see Epsilon go for a similar push to the last one, just to get themselves some information. You can see Hampus over towards Monster is by himself here, but he still gets the 2 kills. Have to feel like Zinken should have been able to find that frag. However, Hampus just about avoids death, surviving on 5 HP. Kevzy's going to try and force the issue, and he does get a kill with the AK. Focusing back towards short now, and JZ Walkings gets the information and the frag. However, in the meantime, Kevzy with the AK went down. The smoke, though, is missed from Passions, and that allows JZ Walkings to find yet another frag. And we're back to a 2v2 now. Plopsky, though, will find that kill on towards JZ Walkings, who was the last line of defense on the B site. As I say that, though, Barbar's pushed here. Plopsky might not clear this position. Barbar needs to find this frag. He does get the kill, and all of a sudden, Brolan's on just 25 points of health. This would be such a brutal round for Passions to lose, but oh no, Barbar doesn't clear the position that Brolan was pushing from. And he just gifts the kill, gifts the one-on-one to Brolan, who manages to just about find the spray down. That round was certainly way closer than Passions would have been predicting at the start of the round. But the most important thing is that Brolan was just about able to make sure they still get the round on the board. However, Epsilon now will have themselves a bye with double AWPs on their CT side. And JZ Walkings might be able to find a frag here. The flash does force him back. In the meantime, that was Hampus over towards B short. I believe he got a kill on towards Kevzy, who was maybe jumping for information there. That must have been a sick shot from Hampus. And Brolan himself will find a fairly easy kill. Ever since Passions have got to their T side, it seems like it's allowing their individuals to start to open up. There's a lot more freedom for them to go for these aggressive plays, and they are finding themselves the all-important opening kills. Passions, after finding those first 2 kills, decide there is no need to take any unnecessary risks in terms of just straight up pushing towards a site when you don't know what's going to be waiting for you around the corner. They do decide to take things slowly, but now with 34 seconds left, it looks like they do just want to make sure they don't run the risk of having the time become a factor. In comes the incendiary. 2 players committed to B for Epsilon. With 22 seconds here, Passions are going to need to find these kills fairly quickly just to make sure the bomb can be planted safely. Eric does find that frag himself, but there goes Brolan, allowing the bomb to get planted by covering his teammates. And Barbar, with the AWP, will be spotted out, will be in a 1-on-4, and will likely be going down. But a very nice shot comes out from Barbar there. I think Plopsky was just jump peeking for information. However, instead, he ends up losing out. Passion certainly won't be losing the rounds, though. It's going to be 11th going their way. And at this point, Epsilon should really be thinking about taking that timeout. Okay, I didn't realize Zadish was behind Barbar there. And so Barbar, to everyone's surprise, ends up getting knifed in the back. And so the AWP won't even be saved into this upcoming round. And Epsilon will decide it is time for the timeout. And with good reason, because this T side has been incredibly good for Passions so far. Already winning 4 in a row, as well as, of course, winning that initial pistol round, meaning they have won 7 out of the 8 rounds so far in this second half. And so Epsilon will indeed call the tactical timeout. Of course, the rule is the timeout can only last for 30 seconds, so the admin will unpause and make sure Epsilon don't get too much longer to discuss things through. Looks like Epsilon have made the decision to just go for pistols here, which I certainly think is a fine decision. We've already seen Epsilon be able to have some success when they've had those AWPs finding the opening kills, but then still Passions seem to be coming out on top. Ooh, very nice spray down from Hampus, gets himself 2 frags. And there we go, the B site is lost in a matter of seconds. A little bit scary that Zadish is planting in the smoke. You don't really want to risk a defuse somehow miraculously coming through for Epsilon, but that won't be happening because Epsilon are nowhere near the site. Ooh, Brolan needs to be careful here, and he's not careful enough. JZ Walkings will take him down. Looks like he's going to be hunted by the pack of Passions, pushing their way forwards. They know where he is. Looks like Hampus won't be hunting anymore because he is down to 22 HP. Although as I say that, look at Hampus go. He's just going to push out. And he still manages to find the kill. No save for JZ Walkings. However, it will still, of course, be a bye for Epsilon here. We are back to a 12-12 scoreline, all tied up. And Epsilon will have a full bye in their hands, including those double AWPs. Let's see if those double AWPs can make the difference, because we have seen JZ Walkings be able to peek in towards mid and be able to get some information, but he won't be spotting anyone out in this round, because look at Passions go. They're just going to run out all 5 players through Monster. They're getting shut down fairly quickly, though. Epsilon finding all the frags. And they just lock Passions out of the B site push. I'm fairly surprised to see Passions go for such a fast round there. I understand them wanting to mix things up and sort of keep Epsilon second guessing themselves as to whether or not they know what Passions are going to do, and it's certainly an unpredictable play. However, at the same time, they only really threw 1 or 2 flashbangs over the top, and so Epsilon could avoid those nades fairly easily and get themselves a fairly convincing round to go their way. And the weirdest thing, I think, is just the fact that Passions have been playing fairly slowly so far and have been finding a lot of success in doing so. Push comes out from Rusty. He's going to make his way forwards. There's the initial entry kill. Barbar does find the trade, but he's burning alive. Very good utility usage by Passions. And this is what I would have preferred to see from them. Sure, it's still a fast B play from Passions, but they have the nades lined up, and it makes it so much easier. Not just a complete balls-out rush, like we saw in the previous round. So this time they have a lot more success. Brolan will get the bomb down in the midst of the smoke. And we did see Passions previously be willing to boost a player in towards heaven, and with the bomb being planted in the open, that could be a possibility. However, it seems like Passions will decide against that. It looks like Epsilon here, despite it being a 3-on-4, are not going to go for this one. Very nice one-tap from Kevzi. However, the rest of the team are already looking to save. And on one hand, I can certainly understand this. Epsilon, if they want to compete in the next round, they are going to likely have to save these 3 guns. However, at the same time, it feels like a 3-on-4 retake is certainly somewhat possible. I wouldn't really hate it if Epsilon at least sort of looked a little bit towards the site, see if they could get a quick kill or two, see if Passions maybe make a mistake. Double AWPs again for Epsilon. Let's see what the double AWPs are doing. Barbar just holding A long. JZ Walking's patiently waiting in towards mid. He's hoping that someone will jump peek for information, but it looks like that will not be the case. Ooh, Brolan does actually go for the jump peek, but the Molotov forced JZ Walking's back, so no chance for the pick just yet. But there we go. As soon as I say that, Rusty goes running out, trying to get down Connector. And he doesn't expect JZ Walkings to be holding so aggressively, so Epsilon gets themselves the man advantage. Could those double AWPs in this round make the difference? It's already given Epsilon the slight lead in the round, but still a very early position. There we go though, Barbar gets himself another kill with that second AWP. Here comes Hampus making his way out through long. Hampus nearly opens up the site, but Barbar finds the trade. Nonetheless, he will go down after Brolan spots him out thanks to the information from Hampus. So now Passions will get the bomb planted in a 2-on-3. And Brolan is in a fairly good position to watch towards the bomb. He needs this kill. That's such a huge frag, because now Brolan can play from bathrooms and play for time towards the bomb. If Eric gets that kill there, Epsilon almost certainly win the round. But instead now, as that frag comes through, Zadish needs to get to near the action. The defuse is coming in. Zadish needs to stop this. The spray comes through, but there's just not enough of a connection. Zadish comes so close to finding the kill there. But the bullets, I think, were just going a little bit too high, maybe, on towards the spray down. So the defuse just about comes through in the smoke. Epsilon get themselves the slight advantage in terms of rounds. However, Passions themselves still certainly have the bye. 14-13, and this game has been so close ever since Passions started finding success on their T side. They've looked really good at their pushes so far. And even in that round, Epsilon had to work so hard to take the victory there. Taking a quick look at the money, if Epsilon lose this round, their cash is going to be dreadful. Hampus spots out the jump peek, but doesn't quite react quickly enough for the kill. So just a little bit of information going both ways. Flash comes in towards mid, and JZ Walkings was forced off the angle, but he's going to go for the re-peek, and it's going to be successful. Brolan was not expecting JZ Walkings to again go for the aggression. And that AWP is really starting to make its mark in towards bathrooms. He found a frag last round. He finds one this time. However, the flashbang will be very well placed to allow Rusty an easy kill back. And so it's just a belated 1-for-1 trade. But here comes Barbar looking to hold the B's site. And Zinken is also there to help him out. Hampus, though, pushing out from long, lines them up. Barbar and Zinken were way too close together. And so now Passions themselves have gained the man advantage. Kevzi, though, gets a really quick headshot. We're back to a 2v2. And Plopsky himself is stuck towards the site. So this could certainly go either way, but Plopsky just about finds the spray down. And now Eric is left all alone for the CT side. He does get the first kill. And the bomb is planted really awkwardly here. Zadish has to play fairly close because the bomb is planted safe in towards truck. Down goes the smoke for Eric. He doesn't go for the defuse. And he tries to take the fight, but try as he might, Zadish will take him down. And just look at the money on the Epsilon side of things. 14-14 in terms of the round scoreline. However, when you take a look at the buys, just a quick glance will show you Passions now very much have the upper hand here. This was looking so good for Epsilon, but ever since Passions got onto their T side, it seems like the ability to be able to make some individual plays, to be able to have the freedom to try and take fights of their own early on has been very successful for them. And in the recent rounds, to be honest, it's not even been that sort of creativity that they've necessarily needed. It's just been a very solid team play in terms of flashing each other in for a peek and finding an easy frag on towards Jay-Z Walkings. That wasn't anything particularly impressive, but it was just fairly well executed to get themselves an easy kill. And it doesn't look flashy, but it gets them the all-important frags they need. Barbar here could get the timing right. He spots the gun barrel, and so Barbar will open things up. Epsilon not going to go out without a fight, but Barbar way too exposed there. Zadish will take him down with ease. And you can see the rest of Epsilon heavily stacked towards the B site. Kevzy is the one man thinking of the rotate up, but even he is not really committing to it. He's going back and forth. Finally, he hears the nades, he hears the steps. He knows it's going to be an A play. But what can Epsilon realistically do from this position? Well, Brolan is going to play aggressively. I don't really like this play from Brolan. He is certainly running the risk of going down here, playing such a close range angle. Flash comes over, holding off. Brolan does get the one on the spray down, but Kevzy finds the trade. Still, though, the rest of Passion's in great positions to watch towards the bomb, and indeed they will do just that. Zadish, Hampus, and Plopsky all get one kill each to close out the 3-on-3. And so Passions now into this 30th round are the ones with the chance to close out this series and to close out their spot in the semi-finals. And for what it's worth, on this side of the bracket, the winner of this game will go up against the winner of El Corvette versus Attacks for a spot at the LAN. Nade going out. Epsilon with all pistols. They're going to have a miraculous performance to get this one to go their way and to take us to overtime. 3 players pushing out through B short, and this should work for them. Zadish here in all kinds of trouble. He just doesn't have the assistance from his team. And so Eric will get himself an AK, and now it doesn't look so unrealistic that Epsilon could take this round. Hampus goes for the aggression, gets himself a kill, and that allows Plopsky to also open up. As soon as Hampus finds that frag, it prompts Barbar to try and see if he can push to help out his teammates towards B short. And so that means that Plopsky gets himself a free frag. Zinken gets the 1 kill, but 1 frag is not enough because Passions hold on to the man advantage. Trades go back and forth though. We're down to a 1v1 as Jay-Z Walkings found a frag in towards Connector. Smoke comes in towards short. Rusty will plant on the other side. He's going to peek out towards Monster. Here comes the fight, but Jay-Z Walkings holds his nerve. The 1v1 goes his way. The 1v1 goes Epsilon's way. And that will mean we're going to overtime. Huge round win from Epsilon with just the pistols. They keep themselves alive in this series and in this tournament. Remember, if they lost that round, they would have been eliminated. Would have been as simple as that. And yet they managed to step up to get themselves the chance to stay alive. Again, it's Hampus leading the way for Passions, this time up there at 30 frags. He's had a really good series so far. However, he's going to have to continue that form into overtime here if Passions want to take this series 2-0. We are having a quick break. Of course, the players want to make sure they are fully focused on the game rather than needing the toilet or anything like that. And it's always nice to have a little bit of a break after you've played so much Counter-Strike. Of course, we all want to see both of these teams performing as well as they can. So certainly understandable that both teams want a little bit of time just to recollect themselves. And heading into overtime, I will be interested to see if either of these sides go for the double AWPs on the CT side of things. So here we go, underway into overtime, and Epsilon have indeed decided to invest into these double AWPs. One for Barbar, one for JZ Walkings. And Passions themselves are going to go very aggressively out towards B. The push is coming in here, but JZ Walkings caught out in the open with that AWP. Top comes in and Rusty nearly goes down to the flames, but manages to extinguish them to keep himself alive. In the meantime, though, Plopsky finds a gap in the connector door to take down Barbar. And so Passions, with this quick aggression, take down both AWPers on the CT side. And so that heavy investment from Epsilon bears no reward for themselves. Push coming out. Rusty in a decent position, but actually Epsilon find themselves a couple of kills there on the push towards B short. Eric himself could still hold this off. Rusty doesn't need to force this fight. But he decides to try and go aggressive, and out of nowhere, Epsilon themselves have swung this round back their way. How on earth did Passions throw this away? Two players pushing B short make a big difference. And now Hampus is all by himself. Hampus peeking for the first fight, but he doesn't expect two players to be committed to A. And so Eric catches him off guard. A triple for him secures the round. And Passions there, they had the opportunity to get themselves into the lead. And yet Epsilon themselves managed to swing it back around. Still the double AWPs for Epsilon off the back of the round win. In the meantime, Passion's just going to stick with the AKs. And so we'll get to see if Epsilon's AWPs have a little bit more success this time, because they are holding slightly more traditional positions, although Barbar is still going to go aggressive with the AWP. Very much trying to see if he can find the opening frag. And even if he doesn't find the opening frag, he's going to get a lot of information for his team. Decides to fall back now after not wanting to take such a risk. But with a little over a minute left on the clock, Passions still yet to make any decisive maneuvers. They are leaning towards the A site, but they certainly don't have to commit if they don't want to. But with the utility they have left and with the nades being lined up, it feels very likely they will commit to this A push. JZ Walkings is still here with the AWP. How will he play around these smokes though? Because it's going to be fairly difficult for him to find an angle. There is actually a wide open position there for him to try and find some frags though in towards short. 35 seconds, and JZ Walkings did just shoot with that AWP, so Passion should be aware of it as the push comes in. Barbar's there to find the first kill. The rotate has come up, but it's not going to work out. Barbar is stuck in the smoke, and so in the meantime, Passions find themselves the two entries on towards the A players. Here comes the push, but Brolan in the perfect position to shut down Kevzy. And so Passions will make up for that previous round where they should have taken the win by successfully overwhelming A in this next one. Barbar will not even be able to save the AWP. Brolan finishes him off, although money isn't really too big of a deal, actually. Wow, this is somewhat scary for Epsilon. I thought that their money was a little bit better than that. They should still have for the most part, rifles. But they did, I think, have to re-buy those 2 AWPs again after winning the first round because they didn't save either of them. So that has slightly affected their money. Just the 1 UMP, though, for Zinken, so not really too shabby. Passions, of course, content with the AKs, as they have been for the most part on this T side. Brolan is away from the rest of the team, in towards Fountain. Molly goes over the top. Ooh, doesn't quite land where he wanted. However, he's not really going to be spotting anyone out. Instead, the push comes out through Monster. That's such a huge risk from Epsilon there. Just one flash that they had to hope would blind plenty of players. And it doesn't go their way. Kevzi will go for the aggression. And Epsilon have still salvaged themselves a somewhat winnable position here, especially as Brolan might not check the corner. There's a man at A long right now. Brolan needs to be careful. Barbar is behind him. He's waiting to see if any more players will come forwards, and Barbar just about finishes him off. Back to a 2v2, and you saw Rusty was going to push himself with the bomb, but they were just so far away that Barbar might think that was a fake towards the A site. Oh, Barbar's pushing bathrooms as well. This is actually really bad for Epsilon here. Barbar's just going to assume that they were trying to sell a fake towards A. And so as he pushes his way forwards, Passions are going to slip through the cracks and have a wide open A site. The Molotovs come through, so Barbar should now be aware. I don't think he's going to get here in time, or maybe he will. The peek's going to come out. Rusty out in the open, but Barbar whiffs the shots. In the meantime, the spray comes through, but Rusty will get the bomb planted. And the bomb is even planted on the bank side. So if Plopsky wants to play from this position, he certainly can do so. Barbar and Kevzi looking to win this all-important round. Every round has so much weight at this point in the game. Barbar peeks towards A long, but he's not going to get the kill. Kevzi takes down Plopsky, though, and Rusty can't really see that well towards the bomb. But as soon as I say that, he does peek out to ensure there is no chance of the defuse and no chance for the round. Passions take the slight edge from their T side, 17-16. And remember, the magic number they are looking for is 19. If they get their 19th round here, they will take the win. Or we could end 18-18 and head to another overtime. Plenty of options still left. So here we go. Passions electing not to buy up an AWP on this first round, which is somewhat surprising for me. I thought we were going to see at least one of the players go for a sniper. However, not to be the case. In the meantime, what is this? Eric walking through the smoke? How on earth does he get that opening? Hampus, though, gets a crazy kill himself on the spray down in reply. And there we go. Hampus dishing out even more damage. He found the dink on towards Jay-Z Walkings, who goes down to 19 HP. So a very unorthodox start to the round, but it's working out for Epsilon, as Barbar gets himself a kill over towards the A site. And the rest of Epsilon are still looking to commit towards B. Rusty, though, is holding this off angle. In fact, oh, he's boosting the player up. Zadish here trying to clear them out, but I don't know if Passions will expect the players to be pushed up already on B short. You can see Rusty potentially could be caught off guard. Here comes the flash to peek out. Oh, in the meantime, look at Barbar. He's pushed all the way through A. Epsilon could rotate back and just take the A site if they wanted to, but they're deciding to commit to B. And Barbar will be the key player in this round. Wow, Zadish actually watches towards heaven, expecting the player to be coming in. He's still got so much more to do, though, and he's not going to be able to do it. Despite finding the flanking player, Barbar's teammates managed to take the B site. Here comes Hampus, though, could deny the bomb plant, but just doesn't quite find the angle. Molotov comes in, Hampus forced back, and Kevzi will take the final kill with the AK. So again, we go back to an even scoreline, 17-17. Passions themselves will still, of course, buy up, but I don't know if they're going to want to go for an AWP. Okay, they do decide to invest here. This could be worrying for Passions. If they lose this round, their money is going to be awful into the next one. So Passions really need to get this round here. Brolan is in towards Connector. There are a couple of players coming his way. The smoke is up, but Epsilon are just going to walk through it. Only the one kill for Brolan, but certainly a fair amount of information gained. Plopsky, though, decides with that information that it's not worth sticking around with the AWP. He'd rather just hold back on the site. And with good reason, because there were a fair few angles he could have been pushed from after his teammate went down. So Epsilon do have 4 players leaning towards A. We haven't really seen them go for too many pushes this quickly into the round with a minute left. However, this time it looks like we will see the push come in. The smoke comes out from A long, but that's not really that great for Epsilon. I think they wanted that to go a bit further. We have seen players try and walk out through the right side of this smoke in the past, and they're going to try for it again. It's Kevzy through the smoke to get himself that first kill. And as the push comes forward, Plopsky towards A long with the AWP in all kinds of trouble. A very, very awkward engagement, but Plopsy will only be able to get 1 kill on the hold. So now Zadish and Rusty, I think they have to go for this one, really. They can't risk going down to a weak buy for this last one, so they're going to have to go. Flash is dropped. There's a man on the site. Zinken does get caught off guard, but in the meantime, Jay-Z Walkings finds the frag with the AWP. And Rusty decides he's going to have to just save what little he can. This is looking fairly grim for Passions now, as Epsilon are the ones who have the chance to close out this second map. And of course, being down is an issue, but more importantly, not having the money for this buy here means that Passions themselves are going to have to win with this weak buy. It's going to have to be a very heroic round from Passions, I think it's fair to say. Rusty there drops the rifle over to Hampus. He has been the best performer on the Passions side so far, so I guess that might be part of the reasoning behind that switch up. Here goes Hampus, just pushing out through A long. He only gets himself the 1 kill though, and now the rifle that he dropped is way too far for anyone from Passions to recover. So just a 1-for-1 trade really is not enough for Passions there. They lose their 1 rifle. And so Brolan in towards Connector, going aggressive with the UMP. He whiffs the kill. Zinken manages to find the headshot fairly easily. So now Plopsky over towards A is the only man on this side of the map. The bomb is over towards A long, but it's not going to make its way forward. Epsilon have decided to come back towards B. And so with 2 players here, this might give Passions the best possible chance to take us to a second overtime. Still going to be very, very tricky with the 2 UMPs. However, they have a hope if Epsilon don't push with the nades. If they don't clear these corners. Flash comes in. Zadish gets the 1 kill, but he's only good for a single frag. Very nice flashbang from Rusty, but Zinken just rips his head off on the push to the site. And so Plopsky is left 1 on 3 in a desperate position to keep them alive on this map. Plopsky pushing forwards, looking to find something, but try as he might. Epsilon just have too many players left alive. And so Epsilon catch us a little bit off guard here. We will be going to a 3rd deciding map. It's going to be Train, which will be the final one. So make sure to stick around to see if Epsilon can pull off the complete 180 and upset Passions. We will be back with the 3rd and final map after this quick break.